Hey, here we are again today. So I love this one, My Garden Porn. They're bright, they're colorful. I guess this is the money shot. Caladiums. Look at how cool those leaves are. Uh, I saw conflicting information online about whether or not we can grow them outside here, but it seemed we can. Sunset said not, but I think Sunset was being risk averse, and also because whoever edited Sunset has to know a lot about a lot of different plants, so they don't always hit it quite right. But anyway, they're excellent. And if you can find this book, yeah, out of print, buy it. Buy it. Buy it for $50 if you have to. This is a amazing, useful book. Anyway, so Caladium. So this Latin name is Caladium bicolor, and it's fancy leaf Caladium as opposed to what, the boring leaf Caladium? I don't know. Large arrow-shaped leaves with bright splotches of color. That's what I said. And like they must have flowers, but probably they don't flower here in our climate. I don't know that I've ever seen their flowers. They probably have a spathe and a spadix. Anyway, like a lot of other things in the Araceae, in the Alice Metales order, and like many of these, don't eat them. Don't let your pets eat them. They can be very unfriendly to living things. They're not meant to be eaten. They have a lot of protective measures to keep from being eaten. So, yeah, Sunset said you can grow them outside in zone H2, which is like Hawaii. Oh, sorry. Or else you just grow them in pots and then bring them inside in the winter. But other sources said that they're fine in Southern California, even in the winter. So I suppose if you live at elevation or somewhere that gets quite cold, that would be a problem. But here in Pasadena, I think it's fine. It's fine. Let's see, yep, choose a warm microclimate, 2 to 4 feet high and wide, native to the tropics of Central and South America. And then My Garden Porn. I wish it was My Garden. Look at that's gorgeous. Although I'd have to give up space right now. I don't have any more room. And then this one is a drawing, which sometimes seems a little weird, like, but it's a drawing. But the drawings can be more accurate than the photographs because you can show parts that you might not. Oh, there's the flower, right, like the flower right there. The spathe and the spadix right now. You'd have to. I probably couldn't remember which is which to save my life right now. That's okay. And see this? I just accidentally pulled out a. What are those things? Everybody plants them. Tropical. Well, let's just nix that because I can't remember. But I accidentally pulled one out. A canna. In my yard today, just trying to pull up the dead stalks, and I pulled out the whole root, and it looked just like this. I wonder why. Anyway, so, yep, there we go. Look at that one. That is so cool. I wonder how you find that one. And then here's one of our other plants, cast iron plant, or Apodistra, and then a little caladium. This must be a baby one growing underneath it, which I just thought was kind of cool. So it's caladiums. Makes a nice house plant also. Now we move on, because this is all in the houseplant section. If you recall, we had a little survey, sort of, where I asked what you wanted to do, if you wanted houseplants or natives. And I was like way gung-ho on the natives, because I think if you're going to do anything with landscaping, outdoor growing in Southern California, you need to know natives. But enough of you are not doing that and more interested in houseplants that we split it. So these are the houseplant ones. Now what's nice about Cymbidium, and also a lot of houseplants in Southern California, you can grow them outside. I have Cymbidiums outside, and I think they grow much better outside because they really want a lot of light. But they can't handle the intense sunlight, like afternoon, western-facing sun when it's really hot is not okay for them. But dappled shade, excellent. Mine are on the eastern side of my house, so they get morning sun a little bit, and then they're in deep shade for the rest of the day, and they're beautiful. I had huge flower stalks. I was so excited. It truly was like, oh my God, look at these beautiful things. Anyway, but I do that with flowers because I'm weird like that. So yeah, they look like an orchid. Yeah, long strap-shaped leaves. Stalks are in the zygomorphic flowers that are typical of the orchids, which means they're bilaterally symmetrical. Let me show you a picture. Here we go, typical orchid flower, Cymbidium orchid flower, because all the different orchids look a little bit different. There's an up-close look at that one. I mean, that's like, that color is just, I want to find that one. That's a pretty one. And then there's a little pollinium here that gets stuck on the pollinator when it walks through the flower to get to the nectar. It's so awesome. There's another one, and here you can see the leaves in the background. So I wanted to find a picture of that. And then I think the next picture, I mean, because it's orchids, how can you not have like 800 pictures? They're so beautiful. You see leaves, but also a variety of colors. And here you have a good picture of an upright flower stalk. So what I found with mine is that the weight of the flowers actually pulls the stalk over. So often if you're an orchid person, and people who are into orchids get really, really into orchids, they will clip that stalk onto a bamboo stake or something like that to keep it upright. I noticed too that as mine flopped over, well, now I can't even remember what that was. It seemed like the flowers were the way that you would expect them to be, even though the stalk was flopped over, which would mean that they had kind of oriented themselves. But don't quote me on that. I can never remember anything when the camera's rolling. Anyway, so there we go. So I thought this was weird too. If they're yellow or green leaves, apparently it flowers better. Dark green foliage, which to me would be like a very healthy plant, means they have too much shade. That probably has something to do with where they are found ecologically, that they grow in dense jungle. So perhaps when there's too much cover, the pollinators can't get to them, and that only when they've been exposed a little bit is it easier for pollinators to get there, so that's when they use the energy to make flowers. That's a hypothesis. There we go. Anyway, they're just so pretty. I love them. Next. The creeping fig. There we go. I think we've all seen these around. And again, because it is Southern California, they aren't just planted here, indoors here. They make great house plants. I think this is a house plant. And then look at that one is like a, oh God, what is that called? You know, when they do that fancy pruning, you know, that thing. Well, this one did it. Look at that. Bonsai, thank you, bonsai, right there. Ficus Benjamina, bonsai. Here's a funky one as a house plant. So, house plant, creeping fig right there in a pot. They're very common in pots. Here's one in its wild, wild ability to spread. It said in Hawaii they get to be like 60 feet tall and even wider than that. Look, there's some tiny little people for scale. This is an enormous tree. You'd have to go to Sri Lanka to see that one, but that would be quite a trip, wouldn't it? Anyway, so that's what it looks like, the leaves. Glossy leaves, about 5 inches long, and the branches droop over a little bit. It's very, very fast growing. They mentioned an entryway container plant. It can also be espaliated growing on a trellis or also cut into a hedge. Ficuses often have a milky sap that can be quite irritating to skin. So if you do cut it, just know that. It said that these are very, very easy to start from cuttings, which sounds cool until you realize that outdoors, that also means that if it falls over, it's very likely to make a new one, and it can go crazy and grow and grow and grow and grow. It also has invasive roots where it grows outside. So likes it warm zones, Hawaii kind of stuff. India and Malaysia are where it's from, where it's really humid. So I'm surprised that it grows here. Oh man, I am so sorry. I did this again. I forgot key information. So I forgot to put down how much water it needs. If I recall, it needs moderate to ample water. I think that's what it said. So we'll leave it at that. And I will add that content to the profile for you and put it in the list. Okie dokie. Bye.